How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is currently running its massive indie sale right now. It's like 60 pages of deals on the PlayStation Store if you're on a web browser. A lot of the games I haven't played, there are a lot of low-key titles, but obviously there are definitely some bigger games on there. We're going to be looking at games under $10, just picked out a bunch of them, and we'll go through each of them relatively quickly. But again, a lot of the games, especially as you get deeper and deeper into the pages, games that I am just not too familiar with. So a lot of these games might be titles that you guys are familiar with, but let's get right into it, and let's start things off with The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Really great deal on this, 85% off for $2.99. Now, it should be noted it is available through PlayStation Now, so if you have that, you can play it. I'll let you guys know if it is available on Now. But Vanishing of Ethan Carter is a game that's definitely light on the action-oriented gameplay. That's not what this game is about. It's more of a serene, atmospheric adventure exploration game. There's some light puzzles that are pretty easy to figure out, but it's definitely an absorbing game into the world, and if you want something a little bit on the shorter side, you can beat it pretty quickly. I think you'll find some fun out of Vanishing of Ethan Carter. You know, $20 is probably a little bit too much, that initial price point, but at $3, that's a really good pickup, and if you want a game that you could just beat over a weekend, this is a pretty good one. Next up, another pretty serene title, Journey is 50% off for $7.49. Maybe a little bit expensive for some people. Journey was a game that had so much buzz when it released on the PlayStation 3. You know, it was getting 10 out of 10s from a lot of people, and I can definitely understand if you didn't enjoy Journey. It's a game that I don't think everybody is gonna dig, but I think the majority of people did really enjoy it. It's another game that's very much light on the gameplay and creating more of an atmospheric visual aesthetic. Great soundtrack here, and it is kind of like a walking simulator, but it comes together very nicely at the end. That game company does some really good stuff. Flower was another good title by them that also had a similar kind of buzz around it, but Journey's a pretty good pickup at $7.50. Yeah, would I like to see it 75% off at like $3.74? Absolutely, but $7.50 is still a pretty decent deal. Next up, we have Frictional Games' SOMA, which is 85% off for $4.49. You know, Frictional Games probably best known for their work on the Amnesia titles, especially Amnesia: The Dark Descent. That really was a huge horror title back in the day. My favorite game out of them was by far SOMA. I just thought SOMA was such a great psychological horror that really brought you into a horror-filled world. It doesn't make you overpowered or anything like that. It's a game that's engrossing as all hell. The narrative is incredibly compelling. It's set in this underwater, creepy research facility, and another game that's not super lengthy, but if you want an atmospheric horror game, I think Soma's a really solid pickup. Also available through PlayStation Now, so you can play that way if you do want. Next up, I know all you guys have been waiting for Final Fantasy Tactics for quite a while. Well, you're going to get the DioField Chronicles from Square Enix, but if you want a game like that right now, Felseal Arbiter's Mark is a pretty decent pickup. It's down to $8.69 for Plus subscribers. Non-Plus subscribers will have to pay $10.19. Very good turn-based tactical title that unfortunately just hardly got any love at all. Like, this is a game that not a lot of people talked about. It has a pretty good story. The art style is a great throwback that is very colorful, but I think it's also, you know, you can appreciate it even in the year 2022. It's a well-made tactical RPG, and at this price, $8.69 if you're a Plus subscriber, thought that was a really good pickup, and I would really recommend it if you are a fan of tactical RPGs. And as I mentioned all the time, tactical RPGs are by far my worst genre, but these style of strategy RPGs, you know, moving one by one and you have a bunch of units and whatnot, for some reason I always play them, and even though I'm garbage at them, some of them I get really into, and Felseal Arbiter's Mark was one of them that I did enjoy. Next up, we have THQ's Darksiders Genesis, which is down to $8 for Plus subscribers. Non-Plus subscribers will have it at $11.99. Very much different than your typical Darksiders title, but a very good title as well. It is a dungeon crawling action-adventure RPG done by Airship Syndicate, a studio that I am becoming a big fan of with their work on Battle Chasers Night War and, of course, Ruin King League of Legends. I thought that game was fantastic, but Darksiders Genesis was a fairly good game as well, and you can jump right into it if you're not a big Darksiders fan. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but if you want a hack and slash you know, dungeon crawling action adventure RPG, I think Darksiders Genesis is a pretty solid pickup, especially at this $8 price point. You know, I wouldn't be paying more than this, but it's a fairly good pickup. That initial $40 may have been a bit much as well, but at $8, that's, what, 20% of the initial cost? I think that's fairly good. Next up, a classic by many people's accounts, and that is Psychonauts. I didn't play Psychonauts when it initially came out. It was a little bit before my time playing lower key titles, but Psychonauts was a game that you can go back to, and if you like platformers, if you like games that have a bit of comedy, if you're a fan of the Sony platforming titles that have been very well received, I think you'll really enjoy Psychonauts as well. It's got a pretty good art style that, yeah, you can tell that it's not a game that came out in the last year or two, but it still looks, you know, okay, and the gameplay's solid, the comedy's on point, the story's, you know, interesting enough. There's a reason why people were clamoring for Psychonauts 2 for like 15 years before it finally came out, but yeah, Psychonauts 1 was just a beloved game, and while I didn't play it when it initially came out, even playing it like 10 or I think 11 years after the fact of it coming out, I still had a great time with it. Actually, I think it was 9 years, but yeah, I waited a while after its initial 2005 release. But yeah, very good platformer that you can go back and still play it today. At $4, great buy as well. Next up, we have Frictional's other title. You have Amnesia Collection, 90% off for $3. They do have the third Amnesia title on sale as well. Amnesia Collection, you're mainly buying for the Dark Descent. You also get a Machine for Pigs, which was generally much not as good as Dark Descent, let's just put it that way. Dark Descent is a very iconic horror game that I feel like if you're even remotely a horror game fan, you kind of owe it to yourself to play the game. Machine for Pigs is okay. It's just such a far cry from the quality of the Dark Descent, in my opinion, that, you know, it's nice to have it as an extra title to this collection, but, you know, you're getting this for Dark Descent and, you know, one of the more iconic horror games of all time. For $3 for both of them, I think that's a fairly good pickup. Also available on PlayStation Now, so you can play it that way if you want. Let's talk a couple of Metroidvania-style games. Let's just go through all of these real quick. Guacamelee 2 is $3.44 for Plus subscribers, 75% off for non-Plus subscribers, $5.74. That's Guacamelee 2 complete, by the way. They do have the base Guacamelee 2 game, $4.99, just flat price, no Plus discount. $3.44 for this is really good. You know, the competition in the Metroidvania, Castlevania-style game market is so intense. Like, there's so many high-quality titles that Guacamelee 2 was unfortunately one that just fell a little bit under the radar. It's got a great art style. It's comedic as all hell. You play as a luchador doing suplexes and whatnot. It's a fun, charming game, and for $3.44, if you're a fan of Metroidvanias, I'd give it a shout. The complete edition comes with some additional content as well. If you have the base game, no sweat. But yeah, pretty good pickup, especially if you're a Plus subscriber. That $3.44 price is great. Here's a game that I loved, Axiom Verge, 70% off for $5.99. Man, I played this game, I believe the day it came out. I don't know why I bought it, because at that point I was still, you know, playing a lot of games, but to pick up a game like this day one was a little bit unusual for me, but I loved Axiom Verge. I believe it was a game done by one person, which is just mind-bogglingly insane when you think about it. Very much a throwback title, but the attention to detail, the care in this game is immense, given the fact that, again, you're not this game wasn't done by a large studio or anything like that. Obviously, old school style, very much akin to your Super Nintendo Metroidvania titles, a bit challenging at times as well. Maybe a bit is, you know, putting it a little bit mildly, but $6 for Axiom Verge I think is a great price. This is also a game that's held up in price for quite a bit, maybe rightfully so, because it is a high quality title. Axiom Verge 2 is a thing as well, so maybe that's something you want to check out, but definitely play the first one at $6, a throwback Metroidvania here. Lastly, as far as the Metroidvania titles, I want to give a shout to Hollow Knight Voidheart Edition. Out of the three, this is probably the most popular. This just has had a phenomenal reception over the past few years. Fantastic art style to this one as well. Very, very colorful, and I think this is a game from a visual aesthetic that people would get into the most. It's not one that I played as much as the majority of other people, but the time that I did put into it, I really enjoyed, and it's a fun game, has its challenge, has its rewarding gameplay as well, but yeah, for $7.50, this is a good pickup as well. If you guys want to know my style of game like this that I always go back to is Dead Cells, which is on sale for 15 bucks, didn't meet the price threshold. That game has really been retaining in price, but yeah, if you do have 15 bucks to spare, go check out Dead Cells. That game is phenomenal as well. The Metroidvania market is just loaded with high quality titles, so yeah, you really don't have a shortage for great games on that end. Couple other games to round things out. Super Meat Boy, 80% off for $3. Obviously, incredibly challenging platformer, incredibly iconic game as well. Played this way back in the day, and yeah, we had some good times with this. We had some rage-induced moments, so, you know, be prepared for that if you are picking up Super Meat Boy, but also be prepared for a very charming and bloody platformer at $3. I think it's a great pickup. Super Meat Boy Forever is on sale, just a little bit on the pricey side, so do keep that in mind if you do want to check that out. Bastion, 75% off for $3.74. Love me some Supergiant games. They are one of the most consistent studios on the planet. I wait to see if they ever get acquired by someone, because, man, that would be a huge acquisition. But Bastion was their very first title, and it still holds up so well. The visual style in this game is tremendous. The soundtrack is excellent. Gameplay solid. Narration is tremendous in this game. One of the best narrators in a game that I've ever played, to, you know, to give him some credit. At $3.74, it's a great pickup. Transistor's also on sale right now. That's $5, but Bastion is the Supergiant game that still hits home for me. This was one of those first downloadable titles that also came out, you know, when Xbox Live Arcade was still making, you know, its presence known, and it wasn't fully expected that high-quality titles could also be downloadable games, but Bastion was one of those games that really did showcase that. Lastly, I want to give a shout to Magicka 2, which is down to $3 for Plus subscribers. Non-Plus subscribers will have it at $3.74. This is a game that you want to play cooperatively. You want to crack open a couple beers and have a great time with Magicka 2. This is a game that, if you have friends to play with, it is just hysterical. Yes, maybe some people will get upset if they, you know, if they take Magicka way too seriously. You don't go into Magicka 2 or Magicka in general expecting a super serious experience. It's fun to use all the different abilities, blast the hell out of each other, and just have a good time. Just a very enjoyable comedic co-op title that I think anybody can really jump in and play. You know, it's one of those games like Castle Crashers that I feel like if you ever need a game to play, you want to play with some buddies, you want to have a good co-op experience, Magicka 2 is one of those games that I think is worthwhile to keep in your library. But that's going to do it for me. Again, sorry for not covering the indie game sale in depth. There's just like 70 pages, and I was just tapping out. I was just like, yo, I can't do this. I haven't played a ton of these games, and I haven't even heard of some of the games that are a part of this sale. It just goes to show so many games are dropping on the PlayStation Store these days. The competition is intense, but high quality games will always stand out. At least you hope that would be the case. But that's gonna do it for me. This sale is ending, I believe, on Thursday, so you got a couple days to check out these deals. Again, that's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.